championship game, and you win it, and they ask you, how do you feel? Did you feel you? Yeah, I came in with my game plan, and I expected my game plan to work.
I'm dropping these philosophies that y'all should try adopting. Running from the law, no, running from the law, but you cross me.
Snakes in the grass, learn how to move or they rattle. Too many losses, be a light and you can prove it's a shadow.
When I pull up, right on time, come outside, I ain't your man, that's true enough.
2 times. Ooh, I'ma dive off the deep end.
Ain't nothing but an Eastside party. Eastside!
I can make it. Let's go. One more jump. Made it. All praises. Whew. It's so cold on this mountain. Told Abba. Solemn prophet. Everything looks so small from up here.
Please crank responsibly.
It's lonely at the peak, had to work to get on top. I'm a student of the craft, work for everything I got. Elevating my mentality, still ain't in my prime. But the ones who reach the top don't appreciate the climb. I bled for this path as I stand on the pinnacle, delivering the scriptures in a way that's very lyrical. Bars on the summit, I'm so high above the ground. Cause when you at the top, it's nothing to do but look down. This rap shit my kingdom, that's why I'm a monument. Saying I'm the best, it's almost not a compliment. Who your favorite artist? They can't match my confidence. Eat them like some dinner and I don't even need no condiments. That Torah, yeah, I'm fond of it. My faith, I never squander it. Hurdle in my path, the most I let me conquer it. Flow from Jerusalem, bars like a Nazarite. Y'all leaders is effeminate, some like a hermaphrodite. Spirit of a warrior, molded from the clay. Scripture spitting like a Thompson, precepts about to spray. I don't move like these brothers, I be in my own room. Illest punchlines in the castle, from the dungeon to the throne room. It's lonely at the peak, had to work to get on top. I'm a student of the craft, work for everything I got. Elevating my mentality, still ain't in my prime. But the ones who reach the top don't appreciate the climb. I bled for this path as I stand on the pinnacle, delivering the scriptures in a way that's very lyrical. Bars on the summit, I'm so high above the ground. Cause when you at the top, it's nothing to do but look down. You gotta climb a mountain before you reach my level. I be chilling in the clouds, up here flexing on the devil. I take pride in my ability, some would call it arrogance. Bars for the righteous, and they like, who the hell is this? Goat metaphors, pen game, yeah, I never miss. Delivery from heaven, but you can feel a hell in this. Since I keep the loony solar, they say that I rock with Satan. Meanwhile, they keep Shabbat on the calendar that's pagan. Sabbath not on Saturday, sorry, they lied to you. You following the system that was made in 1582. Regardless, I'm a brute, so I gotta rep my father. Had to climb up to the mount to be closer to my Abba. It's lonely at the peak, had to work to get on top. I'm a student of the craft, work for everything I got. Elevating my mentality, still ain't in my prime. But the ones who reach the top don't appreciate the climb. I bled for this path as I stand on the pinnacle, delivering the scriptures in a way that's very lyrical. Bars on the summit, I'm so high above the ground. Cause when you at the top, it's nothing to do but look down. I got Elohim bars, I write with a godly pen. When you at this altitude, you gon' need some oxygen. Child of the Most High, I ain't rocking with a tribe. Writing came crazy, you would think I was a scribe. I'm here to catch bodies and edify the masses. Bars sweeter than some honey and they thicker than molasses. Comparing me to legends, if they ghost, then that might work. Killing all these MCs on the mic, yeah, that's light work. My only competition in this life is my father's son. Lyrics too heavy, they weigh a tetragrammaton. Studying the luminaries, praise as I keep the feast. Looking down from the firmament, up here on the peak. It's lonely at the peak, had to work to get on top. I'm a student of the craft, work for everything I got. Elevating my mentality, still ain't in my prime. But the ones who reach the top don't appreciate the climb. I bled for this path as I stand on the pinnacle, delivering the scriptures in a way that's very lyrical. Bars on the summit, I'm so high above the ground. Cause when you at the top, it's nothing to do but look down. It's too easy, man. They not on my level. I'ma just stay up here and sit and commune with a higher, looking down on all my competition.
A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Most High directeth his steps. Proverbs 16 and 19. Yeah.
I only know one way to spend this time. To spend this time. Only one way.
I only know one way, baby.
Reaching my destination. One way to spend this time.
They gon' feel me on this one.
To spend this time. Only one way.
Prophet. Listen.
Reaching my destination.
You only get one life, better live it to the fullest. Sometimes you pull the trigger, sometimes you bite the bullet. You gotta stay focused, keep your head on the swivel. Keep that Bible tucked, yeah, right next to that pistol. I be counting blessings, so you know I keep that faith. When it comes down to a higher, yeah, I step up to the plate. I don't know why people sell their souls, it's really such a shame. They be burning for eternity, for temporary fame. It's only one way to ascend. Read the scripts, yeah, that'll get you higher. It's only one way to the Father, like it or not. It's only through your shot.
I only know one way to spend this time.
Yeah.
To spend this time. Only one way.
All praises to the Most High.
Reaching my destination. One way to spend this time.
Hey, yo, we life. I high over everything, baby. Just his clay, so don't you ever question, cause he higher than your ways. Overcome the threats, live with no regrets, cause if you lean on him, definition of success. Cherish every moment, get back what was stolen. You scared to elevate your mind and come out in the open. Look into the truth, research everything, understand your body, you represent the king. Journey gon' come with some tears. Keep faith, cause time is running out. Be productive, do some with your years, cause your destination is what it's all about.
I only know one way to spend this time. To spend this time. Only one way to live this life. Reaching my destination. One way to spend this time. To spend this time. Only one way to live this life. Reaching my destination.
I was a dry bone until I rose from the dead. I could've stayed in that valley, but I left instead. I made a choice to seek life so I can live again. Staying on this righteous path, never turning back to sin. Yeah, change is good, don't let them tell you different. What helped me out the most is when I opened up the scriptures. Dealing with real life, it showed me how to use wisdom. So many lost souls, a higher told me, go and get them. 7 years in this truth, I'm still going strong. Let me be your motivation for you to keep holding on. Develop a little bit more patience, know it won't be long before we cross that sea again and make our way home.
I only know one way to spend this time. To spend this time. Only one way to live this life.
Yeah.
Reaching my destination. One way to spend this time.
One way
to spend this time.
One way.
To live this life.
Hey, reaching my destination. Reaching my destination.
Only thing I'm focused on is
Reaching my destination.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. It's Sirach. Akeem, brother Akeem, aka Silent Prophet here. This is Shabbat Talk. And hey, normally I gotta give a shout out early because my Ag is back. Professor S in the building, man. All praises. All praises. Good
How's
to
it
have you
going,
back.
bro?
It's going good, man. It's good to see you, brother. Good to have you
Yeah,
on here.
awesome to be here.
My A1 day one right there.
Love you, bro.
Love you too, man. You staying with your camera off, or because I'll pull you back, pull you up, and everything. Get you going.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep my camera off because I don't want to use up too much bandwidth.
Okay, cool. I got you. I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're back with us. But you already know, got to give all honor, praise, worship, and esteem to the Holy Father, the Most High. Got to give him all praise and honor, man, because without him, we wouldn't be here. So that's how we kick it off every show. And I know I gave one shout out, but that was special. If you ain't been watching us the last, I want to say 7-8 weeks, man, it's been tough. So, I'm glad my brother is back with us. Normally he tunes in on YouTube because the service is bad out there, but to have him back, I wanted to definitely give him that shout out. But to give other shout outs, first off, on the panel, I'm going to give a Shabbat Shalom to my sister Kafira. Thank you for being able to tune in with us. I appreciate you. We also got Sister Kaylee in the building. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all.
We got my beautiful wife, Ebony, who she got a camera off because she's doing her hair right now, y'all. But hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Happy Sabbath.
We got my brother Greg, aka Sir Icebreaker, in the building. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Shabbat Shalom, my brother, and to the family as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Want to give a shout out to brother Abdullah, my man, the Houston Brew. He's the first one in the YouTube chat. Shabbat Shalom, my brother. I appreciate you. Hey, thank you for saying that song is fire, brother. I appreciate you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to Sister Andy, aka Sister Andrea.
Shabbat Shalom to you and the family.
Shabbat Shalom. Let's see who we got. Who else we got? We got Sister Ava and Brother Sean in the building. Shabbat Shalom. And we got Sister Jasmine in the building as well. Shabbat Shalom. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Those of you guys who will be tuning in soon, if you ain't made it on here yet, I'll give you a shout out when I see you. But to keep this going, because this is a 2-for-1 special tonight, we're going to keep it moving to the next thing. So I know last week we did the special Shabbat talk where I went on Brother Lucas's platform and did the meeting. So we didn't get to go over the scripture readings. So last week's scripture reading was Joshua chapter 7, verse 26 through chapter 8, verse 13, Proverbs chapter 7, verse 6 through 25, and then Psalms chapters 38 through 41, right? So we're gonna go over that as well. And then this week's scripture readings was Joshua chapter 8, verse 14 through 27, Proverbs chapter 7, verse 26 through chapter 8, verse 18, and Psalms chapters 42 through 45. And then, between last week's scripture reading and this week's scripture reading, the floor is open to discuss what you guys got out of those. I got some stuff out too that I want to definitely pull out, something that really hit me last night for the most part. But I'll say mine for the last because it's a little lengthy. But the floor is open. If anybody want to share, and I know y'all got to have something because it's been 2 weeks worth of build up now.
Well, for me,
hold on one second. Brother Greg, your audio is low. Yeah, it sounds like you might be connected to your other mic like last time.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Sister Kaylee didn't even hear that you was speaking, and she started talking.
Sorry.
No, I know it's okay. I know exactly what happened.
What about now? Is that?
Yeah, that's way better.
Oh, okay, cool. So just real quick, I'll just go over something that stood out to me in Psalm 39, verse 2, where, and again, this is the kind of KJV version. Oh yeah, KJV. It says, "I was dumb with silence. I held my peace, even from good, and my sorrow was stirred." And to me, that just hit me even now, just because if you, like a lot of times, let's say you may be in a crowd or with friends or family, and sometimes they might say something, and you should, maybe they say something, about, I don't know, it could be anything like faith, or maybe they're talking bad about the Bible, and you should say something. It could be any subject, but you keep your silence, and then it bothers you, like when you're like, man, I wish I would have spoke up and not been like too nervous or scared to speak the truth or what I should have said in that situation. That just reminded me of that, because I've been in those situations myself where I feel like, man, I should have said something. I shouldn't have been, just too like nervous to say something. I should have just spoke my truth. But that just reminded me of that, because when you hold your peace, even from good, then you have sorrow, and it stirs you up, and you feel uncomfortable and angry and all those emotions. But yeah, that's the piece that stood out to me from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I had one of the moments today, kind of, where I was gonna be quiet, but things were said that I knew were wrong and something needed to be addressed. So I ended up speaking up. But I definitely feel you on that one.
Yeah.
Definitely feel you. A Shabbat Shalom to Sister Tess and Sister Cindy. They'll be with us shortly. Right now, they're tuning in on YouTube, but they'll be with us shortly. So I'm giving them a shout out, and when they come in, I'll let them say Shabbat Shalom. But yeah, good point, brother. Go ahead, Sister Kaylee.
So for me, I really like Psalms 38. Just the whole passage in general, where it's saying, "Do not rebuke me in your wrath, nor chasten me in your hot displeasure," and then it goes down to say that he's troubled, like he's bruised, like there's no soundness in his flesh, and all of that. And for me, I came across that scripture for the first time in 2023, like in the beginning, because all year long I was dealing with like severe hair loss, bruising all over my body. And I was going to doctors and getting tests done and getting my blood read to see like what nutritional deficiencies I have and things like that. But honestly, to me, during that time, it was also spiritual as well, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I had let like a lot of like laziness get to me. And then because I suffered with like gluttony and overeating, it was to the point where like it was all starting to catch up. So that verse had spoke out to me back then. But anytime I think of chastisement, I used to get scared and really, really fearful of God's punishment, like to the point where I would care more about the punishment than him. Like if you get what I'm saying, because like I was baby Christian in that phase, so I was like super scared of God's punishment. But then I did some reading in Job chapter 5, where it says, it's verses 17 through 19, and it talks about correction. It says, "Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the Almighty, for he bruises, but he binds up. He wounds, but his hands make whole. He shall deliver you in 6 troubles. Yes, in 7, no evil shall touch you." And so when I had read that, and then I wrote in my little Bible scripture journal what it meant to me, and then like a prayer that went along with that. But anytime I think of Psalms 38, that's what comes to mind. And I'm happy that I think of it like that now. I'm not so afraid of the punishment, because it's better that he is punishing you and he has his hand on you than to just be at a place where he just hands you over to whatever you desire and choose over him. So yeah.
To that depraved mind. Absolutely. But I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all had that moment where, or that phase in our life where we were more worried about the consequences than actually just being obedient out of love, right? Like, I don't want to do the wrong thing because I don't want him to chastise me. Well, no, you don't want to do the wrong thing because you love him, and doing the wrong thing is not being obedient to him and not coming from that place, you know. But you know, it's better to have that fear of the consequence than to just not have any type of fear and just do whatever you want to
Exactly.
do regardless. So, you know, it's stepping stones to it. But yeah, absolutely. Anybody else want to share about anything they got from last week's scripture reading or even this week's as well?
I better speak up because I didn't realize we were doing this week as well. I thought last week was just going to be for this week. So shame on me.
Oh, no
You know, I
worries.
was trying to tell you the whole week that we might be doing two.
Where did you come from? Anybody asked you anything? Anyway.
Well, all right. Okay.
Anyway, so a very small detail for some reason. Yeah, lets me pick up on some of the small details to help me realize something. In Proverbs 7, verse 6 and on that we had to do for last week, we're once again talking about adultery. And yet the small details I picked up on was not about that whole chapter this time. Just that first verse. And it says, "For at the window of my house, I looked through the lattice." And then it goes on to tell the story between the adulteress and the man, the adulterer.
Yeah.
But that very small detail about looking through the lattice, I noticed myself smiling a little bit when I would look through the blinds at my house. You know, you hear a sound or whatever, you know, something outside and you're looking outside. And sometimes you'll see little skits on Facebook and YouTube and stuff where people are just not minding their own business. They hear something outside and you start looking outside. Well, why it mattered to me was that for a very long time, we're talking about decades, I did not realize that the word was for me. I grew up in the church. I only recently realized that my dad was a deacon. My parents had divorced when I was young. So all these little things I didn't realize. And I had a bad experience with some things that I still need delivered from growing up in the church. And even as a teenager, I'm from Jamaica. And so a lot of the schools that are there are formed from churches. So the high schools and so on, they're very strong church background. And I remember when I graduated, I was even given a Bible. And I found this Bible recently, and the Bible is still brand new. There are no dog ears in it. The gold on all around it is still a brand new everything. That just tells you I did not open up that book at all. And because I did not understand it was for me. Growing up, all I ever understood was that, you know, when you do something wrong, there's no forgiveness. It will always be remembered. You're an awful person. You know, you're basically going to hell because you're only good for nothing. You're good for nothing good whatsoever. So I did not know the love of the Most High. And it was only until recently, you know, like in the last decade, that I realized that Yah was there for me all along. There's so many things, so many bad decisions that I made that I was protected from. So many really bad things could have happened to me because of choices that I had made out of seeking love in the wrong places. Didn't realize that I should have sought him because I thought that he was only in the church building. And when I went to the church building, there were always bad experiences there. And so this small detail about the lattice and, you know, me, you know, smiling every time I looked out the blinds at when I'm looking outside, it reminds me that the Bible is relatable, that it is for me. It's not just for the Israelites from decades ago, that it is a covenant, a love letter to me. I am important to the Most High, especially now that I get to understand what I'm reading, because that was a big thing for me too. I couldn't understand, you know, it's in Old English, the King James Version. And when you read it, you think it's from far off people, probably from England. You don't, it's not in your dialect. It's not in that you grew up with in your household. And so you just think it's not for you. And you combine that with the experiences that you had throughout your life. You don't realize that um, it's for you. You just think it's stories from way back in the past. And so I just appreciated that. I appreciated that small detail in there showing me that, I could have been that person who was looking out, who needed to hear this story, and many of the stories and the lessons that are there, that I am welcome to his covenant. I am welcome to the fold. I can be grafted in. Just need to keep commandments, need to keep the commandments and spend time with him, that he has been there. He's been waiting. And regardless of what everybody else says, the Most High is for me. He loves me. Who remind me of to Moses, because we're listening to one of the Torah portions today. And if you think about Moses, when Yah went to Moses, Moses didn't see himself as some great person, even though when we read the Apocrypha, he said he was a king of another nation. He didn't think himself worthy. He's like, why would you choose me? I'm nobody. I stutter. I'm not this great person. Well, that relates to me. I don't think I'm some great person. And yet, Yah is letting me understand his word now. He's letting me, congregate with you guys. He's showing me love that I needed for so long. And so, that's just it. It's just really heartwarming. And I just encourage anybody, if they're having a hard time reading the word, to seek the Most High and ask him. And don't give up asking him. Keep asking him to please help you to understand. Maybe you need a better version, not the NIV. Maybe you need a more relatable version to read so that you can understand his words. But just keep praying, keep asking him to help you to understand what you read. And maybe you need the audio version. The audio version helps me a lot, so I can imagine what I'm hearing, so it goes into my brain better. So yeah, I just wanted to be an encouragement to anybody else who might be in that place. That's it.
All praises. When you internalize it and realize, just like you said, that the word is for you, and all you have to do to basically step into everything that the Most High has for you is just to keep the commandments, love them, follow them, share that love, that information with other people. Like, there's a personal relationship that's there, right? And when you look at your relationship with the Most High as a personal relationship, everything else comes so much easier. Things don't feel like it's a burden. Things don't feel like, oh man, I'm messing up. It's like things become easier. Think about when you get into a relationship with someone, right? The more you know about them, the more they know about you, things become easier, right? And you become closer and more intimate, right? Not just, I ain't talking about intimacy in the normal terms. We're just talking about in general terms, but absolutely. When you look at the scriptures, what's written in the word is for you, that love letter to yourself. Absolutely. Great point, sis.
And I think there's so many people who, something had triggered that thought earlier on. I had watched some kind of video and gone into the comments, and there was somebody who was crying out. They were saying that he was saying that he doesn't think that forgiveness is for him. That what the things that he's done, he's not worthy. And I think that there's so many people in that place because they don't understand that what churches, at least I think what they start out for, is to reach out to people, but I don't think they communicate well enough that Yah wants a personal relationship with them. We're just taught to go to church on Sunday, to learn the songs, sing them, listen to the pastor preach for however long it is, and go home and hope you get by for the rest of the week, and that's it. And that's all you're taught. You're taught that routine. And I don't think that there is enough emphasis on spending time with the Most High and really reading the word for yourselves, and why that's important. You just think, oh, they're sending you home to go study. No, it's because Yah is waiting for you. He's waiting for a personal relationship with you that you can have with him. It's not just for the pastor. It's not just for the youth group. It's not just for the praise team who have their hands up in the air and, you know, sometimes they speak in tongues or whatever. It's not just for them. He's waiting for that relationship with you personally, which I never knew before. So I'm hoping that somebody hears this and knows that Yah is waiting for them personally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else want to share?
I want to share a little bit of Psalms 42. The first few verses, it says, "As a deer pants after the water brook, so pants my soul after you, O Elohim. My soul thirsts for Elohim, for the living El. When shall I come and appear before Elohim? My tears have been my meat day and night, while they continually say unto me, where is your Elohim?" I read this and I feel like the writer, like he just have such a great need for Elohim, such a great, just the word thirst. My soul thirsts for Elohim. Like he so desire Elohim. And I feel like all of us should have that in us, that deep desire to be with Elohim, that wanting to so connect with him. Here he's saying, my enemies are there, like, where is your God? Where is your God? Like, have your God forsaken you? But he never does. He never leave us, he never forsake us. But we have to yearn for him. We have to want Elohim to be there for us. And the writer just have this deep desire for Elohim. And I just feel touched by it. Like we all should have this kind of a deep desire to want Elohim to come into our lives and to be with us, and we are his and he is ours. I just think it's just a beautiful Psalms. Just wanted to just say that. Thank you.
That was one of the ones I was going to share, but I figured somebody was going to do it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
every week is something like that between either me, Brother Greg, Sister Ava. We got this dance that we doing every week where we cover the same stuff.
Baruch Hashem.
Soon as you said Psalms chapter 42, I knew exactly where you was going with
it. Okay.
I knew exactly where you was going with it. That's a great point. Absolutely. I don't want to add nothing to that. I'm gonna leave it right where you left it. All praises.
All praises
All
to
praises. I want to give a shout out, Shabbat Shalom, to Sister Jessica. Shabbat Shalom, sis. Glad for you. Glad that you could join us and tune in with us. Let's see what you said. Let us not show the letter of the law. I believe this is in Corinthians. No more Babylonian alphabet. Let us not show the letter of the law. Yeah. Khan. Absolutely. And Brother Joe, they glad you made it. They be asking about you every week. She said all these A's. All praises. Okay, so I don't want it to be too long because we got a 2-for-1 special tonight with the topics that we're covering. So I'll be really, really quick. This week I found something in Joshua that I had highlighted actually in my Bible, and I totally forgot about it. But last week I did a really deep, in-depth study on who Israel is, what constitutes being an Israelite, what constitutes being a part of the congregation of Israel, part of the Most High's chosen people. And basically throughout that whole 2 hours, almost 3 hours, right? I proved exactly with the scriptures that it wasn't just a certain people, right? And I broke it down. But one of the things that I said in that study was, if there was a mixed multitude that was already present, and in Deuteronomy 28, when Moses is addressing the whole congregation of Israel, right? It wasn't just the natural born Israelites that was present. It was also the strangers who sojourned that was with them, right? That received that word from Moses at that time, which was the curses the blessings and the curses, essentially, right? So I made that claim, I made that statement. And although I backed it up with scripture, with all of the other stuff, I came upon something in Joshua that also confirmed it too. It was basically another smoking gun, and I wanted to share that. So in chapter 8 of Joshua, we can start at verse 32. This is after Joshua builds an altar with stones. Okay. It says, and he wrote there upon stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. Okay. And it says, and all of Israel, and their elders and their officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark and on that side before the priests, the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Most High, as well as the stranger. And what I'll do, because I'll share my screen so you guys can see. I added it to the document that I did in that study, so you guys can see it. So it's a lot more than what I'm doing now. I'm just doing the shortened version right now, right? So, and all Israel and the elders and the officers and the judges stood on this side of the ark and on that side before the priests and the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Most High, as well as the stranger, as he was born among them, as he that was born among them. Half of them over against Mount Gerizim, and half over against Mount Ebal. And Moses, the servant of the Most High, had commanded, as Moses, the servant of the Most High, had commanded before, that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessings and the cursings, according to all that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversant among them. Right? This is KJV, and it uses the word conversant. We're going to come back to that. But real quick, so you see it in Joshua, he's doing the same thing that Moses did, following in Moses' footsteps, and he's standing before the entire congregation, and he's reading the book of the law, and he's talking about the blessings and the cursings to everybody that's present, the whole congregation, right? But when you look at these words, obviously the word stranger, we cover that extensively in this study, so I'm not going to put a whole bunch of emphasis on that, because we know what a stranger is. It's a sojourner, a stranger, a foreigner, right? And you see Joshua 8:33 right here, and Joshua 8:33 and 8:35, right? A sojourner. So that's just to cover that. But in verse 33 and 35, it mentions all Israel in 33 and all the congregation of Israel in 35. And that's the Hebrew word kol, 3605. And it means all, every, whole, entire. When you scroll down and look here, it says used to denote totality or completeness. It is often translated as all, every, whole, or entire in English. In the Hebrew Bible, kol is used to express the entirety of a group, right? Not just a specific portion of the group, the entirety of a group. And it emphasizes in the inclusiveness, okay, or comprehensiveness of what is being described. Because I made a point during this study that there's so many doctrines that's out there that are exclusive rather than inclusive. The use of kol in the Hebrew Bible reflects the holistic worldview of the Israelites, where the community, creation, and divine commandments were seen as interconnected wholes, right? So that's just for the word all. Now look at the word congregation in verse 35. It's kahal, or however you want to say it, 6951. Break it down real quick. It is used in Hebrew Bible to describe the congregation of Israel, whether gathered for worship or instruction, which they were. The word emphasizes the collective nature of the group, highlighting unity. In ancient Israel, the concept of kahal was central to the community's identity. But a sacred congregation called together by Elohim, it was a place where the covenant community came together to hear Elohim's law. It was an Israelite society. all of this is what was happening. They were present. They were all together on one accord to hear the word of the law from Joshua, who was representing them as their leader, anointed or appointed as the representative for the Most High to Israel during that time. You come down here, congregation of Israel, number 2a, and you see it right there, Joshua 8:35. Now the word conversant in KJV, I was curious to why they use that specific word, and I went and I looked it up. Conversant, it means to be familiar with or knowledgeable about something, to be familiar with and have knowledge or experience of the facts or rules of something, right? So when you go back to verse 35, and it's talking about the people that were present as a part of all of the congregation of Israel, it mentions the women, the little ones, but it says, and the strangers that were conversant among them. So conversant meaning that was familiar with, had knowledge of, or had experience with the same things that they were, right? Because these were strangers, right? You know, when a stranger comes to sojourn, they have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. It's a law, it's a learning process, right? And so this proves that they were familiar with all of the things while they were present. And also the NASB translates that word to living with, or like to dwell with, right? And when you look at the word in Hebrew, is 1980 is halak. Normally halak means like to walk, to like to go, to come, to proceed, to move, right? But it also can mean other things too, and that's why it says beyond its literal sense, halak is often employed metaphorically to describe one's conduct or way of life, indicating a manner of living or behaving in accordance with Elohim's commandments or moral principles. So them being conversant, right, can also be looked at metaphorically in the sense of them living or behaving, right, as a part of the culture, as a part of the lifestyle of an Israelite, with the Israelites that they was present with when they heard it from Joshua. Also, the concept of walking was deeply embedded in the Hebrew mindset, symbolizing one's journey through life and one's relationship with Elohim. Walking in the ways of the Most High was a central theme in the Hebrew scriptures, reflecting obedience, faithfulness, and a righteous lifestyle. And down at the NAS exhaustive concordance, number 2 says to live as well as walk. So walk can also mean to live, which is confirmed here. So pretty much the context of it can be interpreted as they lived amongst them, they had knowledge of the culture that they were a part of, being a part of the congregation, or you could look at it as literally they had a relationship with the Most High. Their walk with the Most High was on one accord with everybody else. However you look at it, but it's all inclusive. And then when you scroll down, let me see. Because there was like no direct connection to that specific verse in the word halal, I quickly asked like ChatGPT to see what was its understanding of Joshua chapter 8 verse 35 in regards to the word conversant in a context, right? So it gives a setting. It says the audience. It says the verse specifies distinct groups: the Israelites, men, women, children, and strangers, non-Israelites living among them. Conversant in this context, conversant refers to strangers who were living among the Israelites and were familiar with or integrated into their community, right? Meaning of conversant. In the older English, conversant does not primarily mean able to speak about, but rather denotes someone who is dwelling, associating, or familiar with a particular group or activity. In this case, it refers to strangers who are familiar with and part of the Israelite community to some extent. Broader implication: the inclusion of the strangers demonstrates the communal nature of the covenant and its accessibility to all who choose to live among and align themselves with Israel under the Most High's laws. It underscores that the reading of the law applied to everyone within the community, not just native Israelites. So not to make that too long, hopefully that wasn't too long, but I read that in Joshua and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I just did the study last week on it, and this is what I come across in this week's scripture reading. So that was what the biggest thing that stood out to me. It was so much I had to call Professor S last night. We had a conversation about it. But all praises. So next week's scripture reading is going to be Joshua chapter 8, verse 28 through chapter 9, verse 6, Proverbs chapter 8, verses 19 through chapter 9, verse 2, and Psalms chapters 46 through 49. And I'll quickly leave that up for a little bit for you guys to write it down, take a picture, screenshot for those who are going to be following along. And since this is going to be quick, if you like the content, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and get this out in the algorithm to go out to more people, because the more people that come across these types of videos and have this information, the more people that can get closer to Elohim and have that relationship, that intimate relationship, to realize that the scriptures is like a love letter to them, right? So that they can develop that. So with that being said, we are going to get it started with part 1. This is a 2-part special. Part 1, we're going to go to chapter 2 Kings chapter 1. You can go to your Bible and pull it out. We're going to read the whole chapter, but really I wanted to go and just talk about some of the key concepts that this chapter is talking about. I found it very interesting, and that it's applicable to our lives. Both of these topics that we're going to cover today is things that could be applicable to our everyday lives, and something that we can take with us. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to get right into it. And these topics shouldn't be too long. So we even though we have taken longer doing other stuff, it shouldn't be too much here. All right, so 2 Kings chapter 1, I'm reading out of the KJV. You read out of whatever version you like, or you can follow along with it today. So verse 1 says, then Moab rebelled against Israel after the death of Ahab, and Ahaziah, I might be saying it wrong, fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers and said unto them, go, inquire of Beelzebub, the false one of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. Right? But the angel of the Most High said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there is not an Elohim in Israel that ye go to inquire of Beelzebub, the false one of Ekron? Right? So this part right here, to do a quick breakdown. So the king of Samaria, basically, he falls down, he hurts himself, he gets sick. But instead of asking the Most High or sending people to inquire of the Most High to see if he's going to get healed, he chooses to go to Beelzebub. A lot of y'all have heard about Beelzebub, right? But he's a false mighty one. The audacity of this, that's the first thing that came to mind, the audacity of this man to do that, right? But to continue on, let's see. Now, therefore, thus saith the Most High, thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. And Elijah departed. So the angel of the Most High told Elijah, right, go and meet with the messengers that the king sent, and this is what you're going to tell him, that he's going to die, right? Because of your audacity, you're going to die, right? So verse 5, it says, when the messengers turned back unto him, he said unto them, why are ye now turned back? And they said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and said unto us, go, turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith the Most High, is it not because there is not a Elohim in Israel that thou sendest to inquire of Beelzebub, the false one of Ekron. Therefore thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. So Elijah meets the messengers on the road, and he tells them what the angel of the Most High told him from what the Most High said. They turn around, they go back to the king, deliver the message. The king's like, bro, why you come back? You ain't do what I told you to do. And they delivered the message. Now this is what happens. This is what the king decides to do. So he says, and he said unto them, what manner of man was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? Again, the thing that came to my mind was the audacity. Like, this dude is so, he's so like arrogant as a king. All he's worried about is, why did y'all not obey what I said? Like, who is this person who has the authority to tell y'all to turn around and come back to me when I sent y'all to go and ask of Beelzebub, right? And they answered him, he was a hairy man and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite, right? Elijah, the prophet of the Most High. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50, and he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill, and he spake unto him, thou man of Elohim, the king hath said, come down. So the king's response is to send soldiers, or a captain. It says a captain of 50, meaning he was in charge of 50 men, right? I know the KJV can be confusing with a captain of 50 and his 50. But basically, he sent a captain who had 50 men under his control, under his authority, and all of the men went to go meet Elijah. Why do you need to send 51 men to one person to tell that one person to come and meet you, right? So, and Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of Elohim, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. So they got killed. Again, this king is a character. Again, also he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of Elohim, thus hath the king said, come down quickly. Like, you better come. You need to come right now, right? And Elijah, he did the same thing and answered and said unto them, if I be a man of Elohim, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee in thy 50. And the fire of Elohim came down from heaven and consumed him in his 50. So now you got a group of 51 people that got killed. Then you send another group of 51 people that got killed. And he sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and besought him and said unto him, O man of Elohim, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight. Behold, there came fire down from heaven and burnt up the two captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in thy sight. So this captain is like, bro, I'm not trying to die. So he changes up his approach. He comes humbly before Elijah to ask for mercy. And the angel of the Most High said unto Elijah, go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. And he said unto him, thus saith the Most High. This is Elijah talking to the king now. For as much as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the false one of Ekron, is it not because there is no Elohim in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore thou shalt not come down off that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. So he died, talking about the king. So the king died according to the word of the Most High, which Elijah had spoken, and Jehoram reigned in his stead in the 2nd year of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because he had no son. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaziah, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So that's the chapter, right? But a lot of stuff happened in this chapter, and I would be remiss not to point a lot of these out. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on the comments. I was reading out of the King James version, sis. That's what I was just reading. But yeah, so you got the king in his audacity gets hurt, gets sick, and he sends his messengers to go and ask of a false god, false deity, I call them false ones, right? To see if he's gonna get healing. And Samaria is akin to Israel. And Samaria knew who the true Elohim is. So you avoid going to the true Elohim to get information. You're going to seek counsel of what's going on with your body, because you want to learn whether you're going to recover, whether you're going to heal, whether you're going to die, whether you're going to get worse, whatever the case may be, from a false one as opposed to the Most High. So you got that part. Then you have another part of, which is why I made emphasis while I was reading it, of why you need to send 51 people to go and get one person. This story right here is a story about arrogance, pride, being trying to, being respectful to your fellow man, right? Treating your neighbor as yourself, because a lot of these things can lead us to ruin. I know that the title right here is beware who you seek counsel from, and that's the overarching thing, but I want to talk about like the humbleness. So this king in his arrogance committed blasphemy, and then on top of that, he doubled down with his arrogance and the manner in which he operated, right? Like anybody can unmute their mic and chime in here, because this is like the way I did this with my kids earlier. It was more of a discussion. I asked them questions. I let them kind of give their thoughts, but even they were like kind of blown away in regards to how this king was acting. But when you send the messengers, they meet with Elijah. He tell them to turn around and come back to you, and they come back and they tell you what Elijah said. Your response is, who is that? Who is this person that told y'all to turn around? Like just the haughtiness of it, right? And then your response to that is to send 50 soldiers with a captain, so 51 people, to this one individual to tell him to come and meet you. Like the arrogance of it, it just exudes arrogance, right? And they paid for it, right? And I don't know, Sister Kaylee, I know you can speak on this too, because you watched the TV show The Chosen. And like if you've seen any type of Roman movie or TV show where they have Roman soldiers in it, you can see like a lot of the time they're depicted in such a way that's like very mean, arrogant, nasty, right? And you can just imagine by reading the scripture the manner in which the captain approached Elijah, right? He got 50 people with him. He feeling himself. The king sent him. So in a way, he's coming with the authority of the king to tell Elijah to go back with them, right? Almost forcibly, like, you're gonna come back with us or else. Because if you're reading it, you can kind of miss that and be like, well, why would Elijah's response be to kill him? Like, why do fire need to come down from heaven to kill all of the people, all of the soldiers? But when you read into it and you realize like the concept, the arrogance, and just how soldiers be operating back then, like they came in almost as much arrogance as the king had. But I saw you unmuted your mic. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, that's a good point, because at first when we were actually reading through the verses, that question did come to mind, like, dang, like just wipe the ball out, like right
Yeah.
there. Boom. So I was like, why would he resort to doing that? But then as you explain, like with the pride and everything, that's very true. And then for anybody who watches The Chosen, the way that the characters are depicted, they really are cruel. Like they're like it's bad. Like it's like a raging man on the street. Like, and they always demand their respect. They always want to have their way. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, just very puffed up. And me personally, I've seen a lot of people like that working in a casino. But yeah.
Absolutely. So like you see it, right? So the king was arrogant. He sent his troops. They was arrogant. They got ex-nayed. They got ex-nayed. And then the king doubles down, or triple. At this point, he's quadrupling down, right? And he sends another group of 51 soldiers to go and get Elijah. And they come, and obviously they've heard about what happened to the first 51. And they come, and the captain say, the king say, come down right now. Like he's even more aggressive than the previous one. The previous one was like, hey, the king said, can you come down and meet him? And obviously he said it in an a-hole-ish way, right? But the second one was even worse, and they met the same fate. And it wasn't until the third captain with the king sent another group. This man is just sending people to their death. But this is arrogance. That's his arrogance. He comes off, he reminds me of I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, but he comes off, he seems real Stannis Baratheon to me, in terms of like arrogance. But anyway, so the third captain comes and he's like, listen, let my life and my men's life be precious in your sight. Like, have mercy on us. I'm just a messenger. The king ordered me to come and tell you to come and meet him. Can you please go and meet this man? So I don't want no smoke, right? He humbled himself, right? And as a result of that, because it said, the scripture specifically stated that he fell down to his knees before Elijah. So that shows you, it's painting that picture to kind of bring you into the scene to see, like, he was prostrate, right, before Elijah to plead not to have it, because he just heard this group got killed from fire coming down from heaven, and this group did too. I want to live, right? And so as a result, the angel tells Elijah to go with him, not to be afraid, and to go and meet the king. So that part right there was like big for me when I was reading it, and I was like, man, this has to be shared with people, because sometimes, whether it's because of the job we have, or the position that we hold, or the title that we have in whatever organization we're a part of, or just being whatever. Like, sometimes we can get puffed up in our own minds and let pride and arrogance take over and think that we just big shit walking, basically, right? And that's not how we are to operate in Elohim. We're supposed to be respectful. We're supposed to be humble. Even if he still did what he did, right, in terms of seeking out Beelzebub as opposed to the Most High. But when Elijah first turned his messengers around, he should have sent a messenger or two to Elijah and request that he come respectfully, or even maybe he could have went and gone to meet Elijah himself, right? I know that's a little unrealistic because he was a king, and they had processes and stuff like that, but still, he could have went to Elijah, or he could have sent one messenger, not a soldier, right? Because think about it. If you send 51 soldiers to one man, that's a show of force. That's like, I'm threatening you. You need to do what I want you to do, right? That arrogant. If he would have just humbled himself, then things could have maybe been different. Obviously, it could have definitely been different had he just sought the answer from the Most High to begin with. But just think about this, internalize this, and think about it in your own life, right? Because I'm pretty sure some of us have jobs where we got a boss that is super arrogant, super prideful. Maybe they talk to us any kind of way, and you just looking like, bro, the Most High gonna deal with you, right? Because the Most High, I said this, I forget how long ago, but it was one Shabbat talk, and I forget the topic, but we were talking about, be careful how you treat the Most High's chosen. Be careful how you treat the Most High's anointed, right? He don't play about his people. So much so that all Elijah had to do to the 102 troops that he killed, or that he got killed, was say, if I'm a man of Elohim, let fire come down. Elijah didn't have to lift a finger Imagine sitting by yourself up on a hill and 102 soldiers start coming up to you aggressively, and you don't even have to lift a finger for protection. We read right now, we're reading a lot of Psalms in the scripture readings, and you hear over and over and over again how David is articulating that he's surrounded by enemies, and he in the Most High is his shield and his protector and everything like that. Imagine not having to lift a finger for the Most High to work on your behalf and wipe them all out. It's crazy. So please, when you're talking to people, when you're dealing with people, just humble yourself. You ain't better than nobody. Even if they doing something wrong and you're providing correction, right? Or you're rebuking, you can still, I'm not saying withhold the truth from them. Still keep it a buck, still keep it 100 with them, but there's a way to go about it, right? Because we all have our faults, our flaws. Nobody's perfect, right? And when you serve the Most High, you are always a servant, right? So I just definitely want to pull that one out. And then, like I said in the title, beware who you seek counsel from. Beware who you seek counsel from. When you need something, call on the Most High. When you want to answer, call on the Most High. If something's going on that you don't understand, if you're scared, if you got fear, call on the Most High. Don't go to nowhere else. Don't go to no idols. Don't go to no false ones, no Beelzebubs, no Baals, no Ashtaroths, right? Don't go to no wicked people. This can apply to our everyday lives in terms of just people. Be careful who you go to get counsel from. Be careful who you subject yourselves under. Be careful who you associate with. Be careful who you ask advice from. Not everybody is for you. Not everybody is going to give you sound advice, wise advice, right? Not everybody is going to provide you with something that's going to benefit you because they want to see you succeed. A lot of the people that you deal with in your life, you are dealing with people that low key, behind closed doors, they want to see you fail. And so they'll misguide you away from the Most High's purpose for your life. Always seek him first, right? What the scripture say? Seek first what? The kingdom of heaven and its righteousness. And then all these things shall be added onto you. So be careful. Watch out, because that counsel that you get, depending on where you get it from, it might be what can be a difference between a matter of life and death, like in the matter of King Ahaziah, the king of Samaria. Because he sought out counsel from a false one, what happened? He ended up dying, right? Not being able to be healed and get up out that bed. So that's the big part right there.
It also reminds me of I didn't look it up just now, but I can't remember exactly where it's at. But the one part where it said, the guy sought the physicians versus when he had like a foot infection, and then he ended up dying from that infection because he went to like the physicians versus putting his trust immediately instead of seeking Yah first. And I forget. I mean, I can find it. I just don't remember where it's at right now. But they say he sought the physicians, and then he died because he had like some type of foot infection or something. And I have to find it because I can't remember exactly where it's at. Let me see.
Yeah, another one was Joseph.
Yeah.
Right. Remember when Joseph was in prison, and he had given his interpretation of the bakers and the cupbearer's dreams, right? And then he told the baker that he would die, and then when the cupbearer was released from prison, what did Joseph do? Remember me when you get before the Pharaoh, right? And the 66 books don't talk a lot about it, but the Targum specified that the reason why Joseph stayed another 2 years in prison before he was released was because he did that. He put his faith in man. He put his faith in the cupbearer, hoping that he would remember to tell the Pharaoh so he could get released, rather than putting his faith in the Most High in that moment. Right? And I get it. You're desperate. You're locked up. You ain't built for this prison life. You want to get out. But even in those situations, your faith should be in the Most High. And because he did that, the Most High made him sit in jail 2 more years before he provided the dreams that haunted Pharaoh to require the cupbearer to remember Joseph and then tell the Pharaoh later to have Pharaoh come and get him out of prison. So there's multiple examples of this.
Yeah, I found the one I was referring to. It's in Second Chronicles chapter 16, verse 12, and it says Asa. I think that's how you say the name. Asa was in the 39th year of his reign, and was diseased in his feet until his disease was exceedingly great. Yet in his disease he sought not Yahweh but the physicians. And Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 140th year of his reign.
There you go, right there, right there. I mean, it's not saying to just screw the doctors, but put that faith and seek it from the Most High. He might send you a doctor or a physician, right, to help you and heal you. But
there's more context to that. But just showing that he sought him first. If you read the whole chapter, you probably get more context as to what that's talking about. But I agree.
Absolutely. Anybody got something they wanted to share, ask about this first topic with 2 Kings chapter 1? No. Okay. We can move on to the second topic of today. And it's quick. It's actually faster than the first one, right? So this one, I came upon this a good while ago, honestly. But I needed to read it and reread it a couple times. And so I missed some things the first couple times I read through it because of the wording of the KJV version for Ecclesiasticus or the book of Sirach. But then I was like, well, let me look at a different version that takes a lot of the extraness out of it, and it made it a lot more easy to grasp, right? So this chapter is talking about lending and borrowing. And again, these two topics is really meant to be applicable to our everyday lives. We let people borrow money from us, or we give people money, or sometimes we are the ones to have to ask for money every now and then. But it's good to know what the scriptures say about these things and how we're supposed to deal with and manage these types of situations. So let me share this. And this is the Good News translation. I just like the way it broke it down on a very simple way that's easy to understand. Okay. And you can read it in whatever version you would like, but I got it up here. So Sirach chapter 29, loans and repayment. It says, be kind enough to lend to your neighbor when he needs help. You are keeping the Most High's commands if you help him. If he needs something, lend it to him. And when you are in debt, pay it back as soon as you can. If you meet your obligations, you will always be able to borrow what you need. Many people treat a loan as something they found and can keep, causing embarrassment to those who help them. Some people will speak politely, bow and scrape until they get the loan they want, but when the time comes to pay it back, they'll put it off, say that it's inconvenient, and make a lot of worthless excuses. Pause. I got to pause here. Is this not what we deal with? Does this not sound like something you deal with in your past or everyday life?
Oh yeah, so many times.
You get what I'm saying? You've either been the person that lent the money out, or you've been the person that borrowed, right? And I don't know what it is about when you like borrow money, but it's like this spirit. It's like almost like a spirit that comes upon you that gives you like this notion that you don't have to rush to pay it back, and you kind of gotta like fight over that feeling to pay it back because you know you're supposed to pay it back. Does anybody feel that way? Ever feel that way? This might not be for everybody, but when you borrow something, it's like a subtle. It's not heavy. It's like a subtle kind of like feeling that like, oh well, you got it already, mission accomplished. You don't you don't got to rush to give it back or pay it back. But the first thing I want to point out is this right here. And I know I just talked about being kind and respectful, right, and humbling yourself with this last topic, but you see things continuously repeats itself in the scriptures. That's important. But you're supposed to be kind and lend your neighbor if he needs help. Help him, right? And then you are keeping the Most High's commandment when you help him. So this is Torah, right? When you're helping people, this is Torah. If he needs something, lend it to him. And if you are in debt, so if you were that person that needed something, make sure you pay that debt back, right? That person, that individual, they gave you that money out of the kindness of their heart. And then for those of us in the Torah keeper community, because they love the Most High and they're obedient to his word and his laws, they were keeping the Torah by giving you that money. So you need to keep the Torah and give the money back to them. If you meet your obligations, you will always be able to borrow what you need. You ever noticed that when you were during that season of your life where you were just, maybe times was hard and you had to borrow money and you borrowed from somebody, but you paid them back? Did you ever go back to them to borrow again? Most of the time you notice that when you borrowed from someone and you paid it back on time, that they were open to giving you money again when you needed it. Right? But when you borrow and you don't pay it back on time, or you refuse to pay it back, they're not going to give you no more money. You done burnt that bridge. But when you do according to what the Most High commanded you, he opens the door for more provision to come your way should you need it. But like it says here, many people treat a loan as something they found, and it causes embarrassment, right, to those who help them. Think about when you loan money to somebody, right? And they act like the money that they got was their money. It was not their money. It's your money that you gave them, right? To pay their bills or to do whatever the purpose of the money was, right? But when they don't pay you back, or they say, I'll pay you back on Friday, and now it's been 3-4 weeks and you're like, oh, where my money at? That's an embarrassment. It's putting you in a state of, man, why did I help you? If this is the type of person that you are, that you would try to do me this way, because you're dealing dishonestly with me. I out the kindness of my heart, I chose to help you, and now you're acting privileged, right? Some people will speak politely. You ever notice when people about to ask you for some money, they get super nice. Y'all could be like almost enemies, but now they got all these nice things to say about you. They talking about their circumstances and their situations and how things are so bad. They bow and they scrape until they get the loan that they want. Man, you always been a kind person. You always been a good brother or a good sister, man. I never really talked about this out loud as much, but I really appreciate you, man. I love you. Where is all of this coming from? Because before this, we ain't said 2 words to each other in like 6 years. But because they need something, now all of this stuff happens. But as soon as they get what they want, which is the loan, and it's time to pay it back, they put it off like it's convenient, like it's inconvenient. You ever notice that?
That is so true.
Like like when you ask them for your money, for them to pay you back what they owe you, they act like it's an inconvenience to them. Oh man, I get it to you when I get it to you.
And see, like me in the past, I would have a particular friend. They would always ask for money, and they would tell me like, "Oh, I'll pay you on such and such date." And then such and such date passes, and a few days pass, and you're like, "Hey, so, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually, can I give it to you this day?" And it's like, why do I have to chase you for my money? Because for me, honestly, if you were to go to me and say, "Hey, I know I said that I was gonna give it to you this day, but something came up. Can I give it to you this day instead?" I'm gonna say that's cool. Like, that's fine. Like, I don't care.
Right.
But you know, at least just give me the respect of letting me know up front. Like, if I feel like you're hiding from me
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, it just makes me feel so like uncomfortable and weird. Like, especially if we're supposed to be friends
Yep.
and there's supposed to be that respect there. Like, it just makes me feel so disrespected. And there's
Mm-hmm.
been a few times where I would just say, you know what, like, don't worry about it. Like,
Yep.
I would just, you know, because my
Yep.
mom would always say, never lend out any money that you wouldn't be okay with getting back.
Right.
So, you know, there's been a few times I've just washed my hands from it. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
But
Me too,
then,
sister. Me too.
yeah, they do it again. So it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. And how does that affect y'all's relationship? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it can really affect friendships and even familial ties, right? Family, cousins, brothers, sisters, even sometimes parents too, right? Your parents can be bad with money and come and borrow money from you, especially if you're older, right? But all of these things can change the dynamics of y'all relationship. Y'all might have been close in the past, but because of how they chose to deal with you unrighteously with the money, you probably choose not to really deal with them like that. Or maybe you still deal with them because you love them, but y'all not as close as y'all once was, right? They make excuses, all kind of excuses.
Yeah, but then sometimes you see them like Sister Kaylee was saying, you see them, or like you lend the money, they say I'm gonna pay you back 2, 3, third time, but then you see either whether it's pictures or you hear that they're at the club or at the bar. It's like, okay,
Yep.
you got money for that. You ain't got money to pay me back, and that can wait until you pay me back. But the priorities, you know, so it's like, okay, well, like I said, I wash my hands of it. I'm not gonna stress it, but now I know the type of person you are. Like I said, now because you really need it again. I'm not gonna be there that next time because you already proved you can't be like respectful or responsible.
That part right there. Get to that. We're gonna get to that part. Priorities. We definitely gonna get to that part, right? Because that is, man, we're gonna get to that. I'm gonna just put that on the everybody put the word priorities on the shelf in your mind, right? We definitely gonna come back to priorities. Facts, right? And then it says if the lender insists on being paid, he can count himself lucky to get back half. How many times when they borrowed money from you, they ask for, let's just say it's $100, right? When they ask for 100, do you give them 50 and then say, I'll give you the other 50 tomorrow? But most of the time when you lending out the money, you give them the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they come to pay you back, sometimes they come back and they give you 30, 40, 50. And you like, okay, this ain't everything. I give you the rest tomorrow. I give you the rest when I get paid. I give you the rest on Friday. Like, how about in the manner in which I gave it to you, you give it back to me? If you didn't have the means to pay me back in full, you shouldn't have asked for no money. Unless you explain that from the beginning and it was agreed upon between both parties, like, hey, I need $100 and I won't be able to get it back to you for a couple paychecks, but I'll pay you, and if you agree to that, then that's just what y'all agreed to. But a lot of times it's not agreed upon, and then these types of things happen. I just love how sometimes we can get so caught up in life, like everyday life, we forget how the scriptures can relate to it. Because people think like, a lot of times like the scriptures aren't really relatable to what we deal with, even though it is. And then when we find it in the scriptures, it's like, oh, I should have been doing this the whole time. Like, no, the scriptures is always here for us. But it says, if he doesn't insist, the borrower has robbed him and made an unnecessary enemy. Like I just said, it can affect y'all relationship, your friendship, how close you guys were, right? And if you guys weren't that close to begin with, you can definitely cross over that line and become an enemy. I don't deal with that person, man. He owed me money. How many times? I'm sorry, but from a black folk, how many times you be walking with somebody or you riding around and they point somebody out that owed them some money? Man, that boy owed me some money. And it ain't never like, it's never pleasant. Like, hey, you see that person over there? Man, he's such a cool dude. He owed me some money though, but he cool. I ain't never heard that in my life. It's always been in a negative facet. Like, he a op now. He owe me money, he a op. Until he pay me back, he on my bad side, right? And it shouldn't be like that. But that's what happens when you insist on being paid, you following up, and the people don't pay back. Just pay the money back. All the lender will get from him are curses, insults, and disrespect, but never any gratitude. This part right here, boy. Think about it. Even sometimes when a person finally does pay you back, they got an attitude giving you the money. Man, take your funky whatever, $30, $100 or whatever. Like, what? You got an attitude with me to pay me money that was mine to begin with?
That is so true and funny at the same time. Like, I've heard so many stories, especially in high school, of like, the boys and stuff, they would be giving out money or whatever, and then they would come and get the money, and the other guy would like beat them up or something, or threaten them. Like,
Yep.
I've heard so many stories like that.
I'm telling you, like, I was reading this and I was getting some of these feelings from the KJV, but it was spotty. But then I was like, let me switch to a different version to see if I can understand it better. And when I read this version, I was like, bruh, felt like it was just telling me my life story when I was reading the scriptures. Then it says, many people refuse to lend at all, not because they are stingy, but because they don't want to be cheated if they can avoid it. How many of this is how many people on the panel today?
Yeah.
Is this you? Is this you?
Yep. That's me now.
That is definitely me, and
I try not to be, but I mean, I still, try to help a little bit, but yeah, but that definitely a lot of times that's in my mind.
Yeah, luckily I just haven't been put in any positions. Nobody's asked me. All praises. But well, no, because if somebody does ask, like, I'm still gonna, but thankfully I haven't been put in any more weird positions.
Look, Abdullah say big facts. I had to go to the chat on this one because I knew the people was gonna be in the chat talking on this topic right here. This is hitting close to home for a lot of folks, right? He said that's Sirach 431 all day, fam. He said Ecclesiastes 431, let not thine hand be stretched out to receive and shut when thou shouldest repay. Facts. 12 and 4, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Sister Ava say Prophet went sound effect shopping while you were gone, Brother Greg.
It was good. I liked it.
Oh yeah, we got some more because you missed last week. We had them then. We had them last week. Yeah, man. I done found out how to do it. They done messed up. They done messed up the church's money.
Oh, man.
But yes, absolutely though. I just love how this is so close to home and applicable. A lot of people don't give just because they're trying to be stingy, but because they don't want to be taken advantage of. They know the risk. And if the risk outweighs the reward in their mind, they're like, look, I'm good. I choose not to. But here's what scripture says. Nevertheless, be understanding with those who are poor. Don't keep them waiting for your generosity. So sometimes out of fear of being taken advantage of, we can actually do harm, right? And not keep the commandments. It says, nevertheless, be understanding with those who are poor and don't keep them waiting for your generosity. And speaking of generosity, one of the things that bothers me, I don't know about you guys, I mentioned this probably like 2-3 years ago on Shabbat Talk, or maybe one of the one of the videos. But anyways, I hate those videos where the person is like helping the poor, he's giving them money or he's giving them clothes or doing something nice for them, but he's like all up in the video. Just like he's promoting that, right? Everybody look at me, I'm being generous. I hate those videos. I love that the individual in the video are being helped, but I hate the fact that that person did that. Do everything you did without the camera. I don't even want to know about it. Like, I don't want to have to see it, because if I'm seeing it, that means that you're trying to get, notoriety from your viewers, right? And then you watch some of these videos where they're like, they walk up to a homeless person, they ask them, their story. The homeless person tells them their story, and then they give them like $5,000. And then the homeless person is like, oh man, this is a life changer. And it is for the homeless person in that moment. But when you think about, you were just used, right? And that person probably made way more than $5,000 just off of the viewership alone. They're using you, and they're using generosity or this false sense of generosity to make a profit. That's not of Elohim. So those bother me. When I see those videos, they bother me. Now it's different if you're doing it, like if the person is doing it, and then it just so happens that somebody was a bystander and they saw it and thought it was really touching, and then they took the camera of their phone and kind of recorded it, so you can kind of see it from a different angle. But you can tell when something's staged and when something isn't, right? But if it's authentic, then I could get it, because there wasn't the individual to be the individual's intention to be recorded. He was just trying to do something nice, right? Let me see. Okay, she's not on here. But I was gonna ask my wife, like, we go and we give food to the homeless, we feed them, we bring them clothes and supplies and stuff, and not once have you ever seen a camera come out. I take that seriously and I take it personally. So I get bothered with those videos. But because we're weary of being taken advantage of, we still should be generous. We still should be kind. We still should be willing to help. But it says the poor, and I love the scripture that the Ak brought out. Let me find that again. Right there. I love this scripture. I love this scripture because it adds more context to what we're talking about. Right? And it goes back to what Brother Greg mentioned about priorities. Right? But let's keep reading. The Most High has commanded us to help the poor. He didn't ask us to. He commanded us to help the poor. Don't refuse them the help they need. Right? It is better to lose your money by helping a relative or a friend than to lose it by letting it rust away under a rock somewhere. If you want a modern day translation, your money is losing value just sitting inside of a bank account. Right? So the rusting away could be inflation, just taking away the value of that dollar that's in your bank account. And it's just sitting in your bank. It's better for you to just lose it altogether than to actually going out and helping people. He commanded us. We're commanded to help the poor. This ain't something that we just do, randomly. Use your wealth as the Most High has commanded. This will do you more good than keeping your money for yourself. And a reason why a lot of us aren't in better financial situations is because the Most High knows that we won't keep it. We won't do as He commanded us. We're gonna keep it for ourselves. How many of us want to, like, we talk about, oh, well, if I had this amount of money, I would do X, Y, Z. Maybe the reason why it hasn't happened yet, not all the time, but maybe the reason why it hasn't happened yet is because the Most High know your heart. And although you're saying that you would help the poor, you would do this, you would do that, you would do this, you would do that, maybe you probably wouldn't. First thing you do, buy a house, buy a car, squander the money that you got. Right? When you show that you're a good steward of a little, he'll give you a lot. Count among your treasures the fact that you give to the poor. It will save you from all kinds of trouble and will be a better defense against your enemies than the strongest shield or stoutest spear. Do you get what this is saying? It's saying that it'll be a better defense against your enemies than the strongest shield or the stoutest spear. Let's put that in context, right? Because this is during the times where there were shields, spears, and swords, right? Axes, right? Stuff like that. So the strongest shield and the stoutest spear, that's like saying the best bulletproof vest you got and the best gun on the market right now. So when you're following the commandments of the Most High and you're dealing righteously with those who are in need and you're giving generously, right? That becomes your treasure. That is a defense against your enemies. A lot of the times, the reason why David was always delivered from his enemies is because he was always obedient to the Most High. Guaranteeing debts. A good man is willing to guarantee his neighbor's debts. Only someone who has lost all sense of decency would refuse to do so. If someone does this favor for you, don't forget it. He has risked his good name for you. There are some ungrateful sinners who abandon those who stand behind them, and they cause them loss of property. Guaranteeing loans has ruined many prosperous people and caused them unsettling storms of trouble. Influential people have lost their homes over it and have had to go wandering in foreign countries. A sinner who hopes to make a profit by guaranteeing a loan is going to find himself involved in lawsuits. So help your neighbor as much as you can, but protect yourself against the dangers involved. Back to what Kaylee said, what her mama said. Don't loan nothing. Don't give nothing. Don't invest in nothing that you are not willing to lose. That's the number one law or rule when you're dealing with investments. If you can't go without it, if this is something that you need for a bill, if this is something that you need for your car note, for your rent, for your mortgage, don't give it away, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get that money back within the time frame that was specified. If you got $3,000 in your bank account and your mortgage is $3,000, but your mortgage isn't coming in for another 2 weeks, and somebody asks to borrow $500, and you know that there's a chance that you might not get that $500 before your mortgage is done, yeah, you got it, but you ain't got it for them. Because if you give them that $500, and then it's time for your mortgage to come, and you ain't got the whole $3,000, guess what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna get hit with the late payment, or however the bank is set up with you. You're gonna be the one held responsible. You're gonna be held accountable because you are on a loan yourself, and you ain't paying the loan back. So you are breaking a commandment to pay the loan back because you're trying to help somebody that ain't gonna be able to, So you can put yourself in a storm of trouble, right? Over extending yourself. Everything has to be done in wisdom. Home and hospitality. The necessities of life are water, food, clothing, and a home where you can have privacy. It is better to be poor and live under your own crude roof than to enjoy lavish banquets in other people's homes. Be happy with what you have, even if it isn't very much, and don't listen to anyone who would insult your home and your family. What? A lot of people need to have this like written on their mirror in the morning when they wake up. Because how many of us and not just in general, like these are the type of people that we are, but sometimes we have moments, right? How many of us probably will want more than what we currently have, right? There's a secular song by one of my favorite secular artists, J. Cole. The song's called Love Yours. A lot of you guys are familiar with it, I'm sure. Just be happy with what you got, man. What you have is a blessing in itself. You might not have the biggest house, you might not have the nicest car, whatever the case may be, but what you have, take care of it, be appreciative of it, be a good steward of it. And when the time comes, the Most High will bless you with more. If you take care of little, he'll give you a lot. But if you got that mindset of, man, I don't got what I want, I don't have what I need or what I think I need, right? And you constantly thinking of the next. That's why the next never comes. And you find yourself always in a situation of lack. Because one, you're not content and thankful for what you have. And two, your heart is not in the right place. You're not good with money. Why would the Most High bless you with millions or hundreds of thousands or however much the money is when you don't even take care of the money that you have right now? And this goes back to the priorities, like Brother Greg say. They borrow money from you because they can't pay their rent, but then you see them in a club or you see them buying bottles and getting drunk or spending a lot of time on these recreational herbs, I'm going to say, right? How do you have money for those things, but you don't have money to take care of yourself? And this is the part that I want to talk about too, is these things have to come into play when people ask you for money. Look at the way they live. Look at how they conduct themselves, right? If they are literally somebody who is proven to not be good with money, you can tell them no. The scriptures command you to give to the poor. The poor, emphasis on the poor, not your neighbor next door or your cousin or your brother who is horrible with money and has squandered their money and now they're in a place of lack because they can't pay their bills. This is talking about the poor. If you got bad decisions, if you know you need to save up to pay your rent and to pay your bills and to make sure you're taking care of your family, but instead of doing that, you decide to, because you an alcoholic or you love to just get a bottle and you buying liquor, or you got a weed habit and you buying weed, or whatever the case may be. For some of us, you know, it's like candy and all of that. Whatever it is, if you're spending money that could go towards other things, don't come to me asking for money because you had the money, but you chose to spend it on the other stuff. I don't feel bad telling you no at all. Now, if you're somebody that you're doing what you can, you're being a good steward of what the Most High gave you, but you just fall on hard times, sometimes things happen unexpectedly. Cars break down, you know, stuff happens, right? Yeah, I don't mind helping you. If I got it, hey, okay. But if you out here and you got your priorities messed up and you're not spending wisely, and then you want to come asking for some money, nah, bro, it is not my job to support your habit. It is not my job to support your habit. Going from house to house is a miserable way to live. Anywhere you go, you don't dare speak. You welcome the guests and pour the drinks, and nobody thanks you. Instead, people humiliate you by saying things like, stranger, come here and set the table. I want to eat what you've got there. Give it here. Go away, stranger. I've got an important guest. My brother is coming to visit, and I need the room. Being denied hospitality for having a moneylender hound you. These are hard things for any sensitive person to endure. And it has had some footnotes. Sirach 29:7, not because stingy, but because some manuscripts have therefore because of this wickedness. Or not because they're stingy. They're substituting the word stingy for wicked, right? Of being wicked. Not you're not what verse was that? 7? So many people refuse to lend at all, not because they are operating in wickedness or they're being wicked, but because they don't want to be cheated if they can avoid it, right? So that highlights even the word stingy. I remember when I was a kid, and I was a really naive and sweet kid that would give you the shirt off my back, but I kept getting burned by like everybody. I would be that kid you could tell anything and he'd probably believe you, and because he would love to see the good in you, try to see the good in everybody, right? I remember I had a rumble pack. I had a Nintendo 64 and it had a rumble pack in the controller, but it was before the controllers came with the vibrations that built into the controllers. I know I'm showing my age right now, but I had a rumble pack, so you put it in the controller, and when you play in the game, it would vibrate and it would make you feel like you were in the game, right? And it was like $35, and my pops bought it for me. And when some of the kids had found out that I had a rumble pack, they knew I really love yo-yos. I used to collect yo-yos and do all the little tricks and stuff. Me and my next door neighbor, we would, do all of those things. They knew I loved yo-yos so much, they went and bought a yo-yo that was like $11, which was a lot back in the day. And they were like, I'll trade you for your rumble pack. And I didn't know what the yo-yo cost. And this yo-yo was broken. And I didn't find out until we made the trade, and they ran out my house, and I knew I got gypped because as soon as he got outside, he was screaming to everybody, I got the rumble pack, I got the rumble pack. And then I tried to use the yo-yo, and it was fine for a minute, and then it just started to mess up, and I was like, bro, got me, right? I would have bags of chips, go to the store and get a bag of chips, and people would ask for some, and I would give them some. And then they would ask for more. And I'm like, bro, like I'm going to give you all of my chips and I ain't going to have nothing for myself. And they would have no remorse. So it was just little things like this that happened constantly over and over again. Over time, I became callous, super stingy, to the point where I didn't want to share anything. I didn't want to give nobody nothing because I had got burned so many times. And it really took a long time for me to like really develop that relationship with Elohim to open back up again. Because I was a stingy somebody, but it wasn't because I just had it in my heart to be stingy. I just didn't want to. Verse 7. I was verse 7 to the fullest, right? But it just reminds me like, man, if it wasn't for the Most High, man, who knows the kind of person that I would be? Who knows the kind of person that I would be? So think about it. A lot of you guys fall into this category too. Don't let previous situations in the past allow you to become callous or kind of just standoffish, right, to other people. Be obedient, follow the scriptures, help when needed, right? But obviously operate in wisdom. As a kid, I was stupid. I didn't operate in wisdom. I should have known that the little boy was shady anyway, and I shouldn't have even agreed to do any type of trade with him. I should have examined the yo-yo before making the trade, and I should have asked, how much it cost, or even looked it up some kind of way, right? But I didn't, right? But operating in wisdom. If you see somebody that's in true need, help them. If it's somebody who's making bad decisions financially, it's not your chance. Or how many times, and I see this a lot of times, people are dealing wickedly. They're committing sin, and that sin causes them a financial deficit. And now they're asking you for money. I see this all the time. People be posting their Cash App and complaining about, not having money. When you see how they live, you know how they live. Man, I had to pay this for this and this and this for all these kids. You chose to continue to fornicate with all these different women, bro. That's not my problem. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Had you been following the commandments, you wouldn't have all of these children out of wedlock like that, right? Huh? Just saying. But I just thought that these chapters, man, 2 Kings 1 and Sirach 29, or Ecclesiasticus 29, too applicable. Close to home, too applicable. Shabbat Shalom, Brother David. Glad you can make it. Glad you can make it. You got a 2-for-1 special, so if you get a chance, go ahead and watch the replay for whatever you missed. But absolutely, Shabbat Shalom. Let's see. Sister Ava say, difficult to find who the Most High considers poor, though. Panhandlers today earn more than me. They're not the beggars of way back when. But yes, we got to be wise. Walk in his discernment. Look, this is something that I do. I'm glad you made that point, sis. That's a great point. This is something that I do. If I'm out and about, right? I'll buy somebody some food for sure. But I don't just give out cash like that. I don't give out cash like that. So like if I'm at a red light, you got a panhandler that's sometimes they'll be in the middle and that median between both of the lanes or all 4 of the lanes, right? And they'll have a little sign, homeless or whatever the sign they got or whatever the case may be. I'll be like, hey, I don't keep cash on me, but if you're hungry, there's, I'll point out whatever the nearest store. I'll go get you some food and drop it off to you. And then when they tell you no, because this happens to me a lot, they be like, no, I'm good. Well, then you ain't poor then. Like, how you going to deny the help that I offered you? Because a lot of times they want money to support their habits. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful. It's just operating wisdom. Operating wisdom. And if it's like somebody who's like, well, I ate, but I need something, right? I remember there was somebody that was homeless. This was a couple years ago. Somebody that was homeless, and they had food. They used the money that they had to go and purchase groceries at Walmart, and they had it all in bags, right, on their bike. But they didn't have a place to stay because their tent had got messed up, and they didn't have a tent anymore, and so they had asked for money. And so I asked, if you don't mind me asking what you need the money for, because I could get you some food, but I see you already got food. And he's like, oh, it's because I need a tent. And I wasn't trying to give him the third degree because I'm just a a-hole. I'm operating in wisdom, right? Oh, man, you need a tent? All right, let's go to Walmart. Let's get you a tent. And we went to Walmart, got them a tent. They got what they needed, right? But I didn't have to do an exchange of money because I never know what people are going to do their money for. I learned my lesson a long time ago where I gave somebody some money because they asked me for money so that they could go to the store to get some food. And when I gave them the money, they walked in the opposite direction of the store. And then I saw them later on doing some recreational activities with the money that I gave. I said, never again. So absolutely good point, sis, for sure. There's ways to operate in wisdom. But anybody got some things that they want to share about this second topic of the lending and borrowing?
Well, I had a family member that called me up on more than one occasion, and they told me like a sad story. Oh, they're gonna turn off my electricity. Can you give me X amount of dollars to pay it? And I would give them the money. And the family member kept on calling, and they would never call and said, "Hey, how you doing? Are you having a great day?" They would just get straight to the point. Oh, I need some money to borrow, or I need some money because they're going to turn my light off, or I need some money because of XYZ. They would never have, nothing nice. They had nothing, people would call and they try to butter you up. Well, no buttering went on. They just got straight to the point, and it became like a habit. And then one day I was just like, hold up. This person only calls every time they need money. Something is wrong. They never reach out in between to say, hey, just calling to say hi. None of that. They just
Yeah.
call every time they need something. They just get straight to the point. And I figured, you know what? This is way before Elohim. And I said, I had enough. And I said, X, Y, Z, D, 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 D. And when I was done, the person said, who is this I'm talking to? Because I just had it. And then I found out later that this particular family member, they were very poor with money management. They lost 2 houses. To put it in perspective, the type of person that they weren't very mindful. They weren't very careful with what they had. So I had to cut them off. And I never heard from them after that. They never called to even say, "Hey, how you doing?" None of that ever went on. And I always remember that. Some family members, yeah,
Yep.
they're like that, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I know some family members that will pay you back just so it's justification for them to come back to borrow from you later. And that's the sole justification. Not because it's the right thing to do, but just because I need to make sure that I keep you. I need to keep myself in your good graces.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah. So true.
Absolutely. You see what Sister Ava said? Sister Andy? She said, don't tell where that family member is from.
They were from Jamaica.
Sis gonna be in your DMs. I said, don't tell nobody. Right. Yeah. But anybody else? It's just laughing. She laughing.
Yeah, that was good, but like you said, a good just refresher. Like, don't let the bad experiences ruin the good ones. Like, if there's somebody that is in need, I have discernment, and you still just help people out when you can. And I say, I'm not gonna help anybody ever again because it's one person in one situation. But
yeah,
it was good. Well, that was a really good breakdown of that. Sirach, what was it? Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, or
Ecclesiasticus. You can just say Sirach for short.
Yeah. So that was good though.
All praises. Anybody else?
I mean, something to always consider is not only the people that are poor physically, but if you see somebody poor spiritually, they don't need money. Whether that's, I don't know, they just need somebody to talk to, or you see somebody, maybe they look a little sick or they're having a hard time, walking around or anything. They don't need money. They need help in some other way. So just something to consider as well.
Facts.
Exactly, little Ock. Thank you.
Come unto me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Sometimes, like you said, it's not a financial thing. Sometimes they just broken spiritually. They're poor spiritually. You need to put that word into them, right? Give them encouragement, lift them up. Sometimes it's just saying, I'm gonna be real. Like, sometimes you can just say something to someone, have a regular conversation. Hey man, have a blessed day. And that might be the world of difference to them. You never know what somebody got going on internally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, right? They might have been on their way to kill themselves. And because of that interaction with you and you shining your light, right, on them and being a light to them in the darkness was the defining factor and the determining factor that showed them that there is an Elohim and that they should live. It's crazy when you hear about these types of stories because I've heard them, not just on YouTube shorts and stuff like that, but from firsthand accounts of people. I've talked to people who said that they were that person who was getting ready to kill themselves, but they came across someone else and they had kindness and generosity and just a nice spirit about them, and it made them change their course of action. So absolutely. Good point, bro. Good point. Anybody else? All right. Well, I hope you guys got a lot out of these two. Even if it's a refresher, put it back on your mind, right? Reset them batteries, recharge them batteries. Those who are going to be present for right after this, don't go nowhere after we close out. If you're not, then I will see you next week for Shabbat Talk. And if you aren't present here right now, there's a link that I sent out that you will be able to get to that in a minute. I'm speaking in cryptic language right now for a reason. But those of you guys know who you are. Don't go nowhere. But for those of you guys at home, again, like, share, comment, and subscribe if you like these types of videos. You like the content, the messages that come out from the Most High. But with that being said, may the Most High bless you, keep you, campus angels around you, give you peace. That is shalom in Messiah's name. Shabbat shalom, everybody. See y'all next week. I appreciate you for being here. Shabbat shalom.
Family.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family. Love y'all.
Shabbat shalom, love you.
A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Most High directeth his steps. Proverbs 16 and 19. Yeah.
I only know one way to spend this time. To spend this time. Only one way.
I only know one way, baby.
To live this, reaching my destination. One way to spend this time.
They gon' feel me on this one.
To spend this time. Only one way.
Prophet.
To live this life. To live this,
Listen.
reaching my destination.
You only get one life, better live it to the fullest. Sometimes you pull the trigger, sometimes you bite the bullet. You gotta stay focused, keep your head on the swivel, keep that Bible tucked, yeah, right next to that pistol. I be counting blessings, so you know I keep that faith.